All in Sports Network. We love sports.
The Kansas City Chiefs last night got a very big victory over the Washington Commanders, 28-7. Today on the Chiefs Report, we recap this game. We take a look ahead to the rest of the season, what it looks like, what the Chiefs need to do to be a champion of the AFC West once again. And of course, we take a look at the Isiah Pacheco injury, the updates on him, and what this means moving forward for the Kansas City Chiefs, whether or not the trade deadline is now going to be forced to acquire a running back. So much to talk about here today on the Chiefs Report, a part of the Rogue Media Sports Network. Hope you are having a wonderful Tuesday, wherever you might be. If you're watching on YouTube, recommend and hope you hang out with us by hitting that subscribe button on Apple Music or on Spotify. You can follow us and get daily Chiefs podcast. Let's talk about last night's game as we get right into the show today. A 28-7 victory. It was a pull away in the second half. The defense for the Chiefs honestly looked outstanding. I think there's a lot of things we can take away from this game, but at the same time, I do want to kind of take a step back and realize that this was a Washington Commanders team that had Marcus Mariota, that it was not the normal Jaden Daniels you're going to see. And Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, who has had some very good games, the Chiefs defense stopped him. And I think in a lot of ways, this was a big game for the defensive line. And they played very, very well. You think about the 2 sacks that they got on Marcus Mariota, the way that they were able to kind of work throughout this entire game with only allowing 7 points to. Whether you want to put it or not, it is still a good offensive team, even without Jane Daniels. You were able to shut down Terry McLaurin for the most part, including Deebo Samuel as well, both of them with just 3 receptions. Terry obviously having the 54 yards in the game and the 1 touchdown. Something to watch for, but the secondary was very good throughout this entire game. Obviously, though, the story was Patrick Mahomes and his 2 key targets in Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice, both each having a touchdown, both having a plethora of receptions, 9 for Rashee, 6 for Travis Kelce, 90 yards plus for Kelce, who was 1 yard away from 100, and Rashee Rice 90 yards as well at 93. Just an overall very good effort from the offensive standpoint. Travis Kelce obviously is a big part in that. 16.5 on the average is something you really like to see. Did have 8 targets, though. Some of those were obviously in that case scenario, you missed 2. I think he made some great catches. I think there was one that he could have made better. But either way, you talk about this and you look at the offense and feel pretty confident. But the bigger thing that you look at here is that Isiah Pacheco was your leading rusher. And we know that he was injured in the game. We'll talk about that and kind of the, I guess, repercussions of that and what this means moving forward for the Chiefs, whether or not they're going to have to go and acquire a running back. I think right now we don't know enough information to really talk about kind of if that's a need, but we will, let's say, make some assumptions because we got some information. It's very unclear on how long Pacheco will be out, but we'll talk about it. But first, again, going back to this game, Patrick Mahomes, 25 for 34, 299 yards, did have 2 interceptions. I don't consider the Commanders to be this fantastic secondary team, which is shown by how many yards they gave up to both Kelce, Rice, and even Worthy, who had 5 receptions for 53 yards. So 2 interceptions does stink. Again, you got to watch the game. You got to see that where those interceptions his fault or not. We'll just leave that out there. Shamari Connor had a fantastic game, 10 tackles, 5 of those solo. Drew Tranquill, you really want to talk about a guy who, 2023 kind of came out of nowhere, played a significant part in that linebacker group, immediately signed a contract after that season, and he has been every bit worth the money. Every bit worth the money. The fact that he is continuously out there, I watch a Chiefs game now, and I don't think there's a play on defense where I don't see Drew Tranquill. I talk about it a lot, I think, in other sports. You think about basketball or even when we go to hockey or baseball, the guys who are out there in every play, every single whatever you want to call it, they are actively making themselves better. Whether you talk about basketball, they're constantly playing great defense. Whether it's baseball, every single play in the field, they're getting athletic position. The one thing you can look at with Drew Tranquill is every single play, this guy is playing his heart out. It is almost otherworldly at times how much energy Drew Tranquil has. And obviously, NFL players, they do a lot of cardio, they do a lot of good things. And um, I think, though, that Drew Tranquil just, I don't know what is about him. The energy that he gives off, the way that he's able to come out and compete at such a high level for the amount of plays that he has consistently played for the Kansas City Chiefs. It's something that is very, very good. Obviously, Travis Kelce with the tackle, as well as something to see because obviously the interceptions. It was Mike Dana and Jack Cochran getting the 2 interceptions for the Kansas City Chiefs. Mike Dana, a defensive lineman, so that was obviously a very cool moment last night. Um, I want to see this defense continue what they've done in the past 2 games, and that would kind of lead me into what I'm going to talk about with the trade deadline. Is there was so much talk about with the loss of Omar Norman Lott that the defensive line was going to be the issue, and the defensive line was going to be where the Chiefs were going to attack the trade deadline. But I also said on our Friday podcast, talking about this game, that if you look at this from an outside perspective, you can see that this is very much a make or break game for certain positions and certain players, because if they can't hold their weight, if they couldn't have come out here and played the way that they did, I believe, on defense, they could have easily been replaced. The Chiefs could have easily gone out and made a trade, gone out and made a signing, just something to try and figure it out. Now, again, the actual depth chart was in a very good spot. If you think about the way that this team looked on the defensive line, all the starters were there, right? George Karlaftis, Mike Dana, you have obviously Chris Jones. Everybody on that line was in a good spot. Derek Nottie. I mean, you were in a good spot. It was the depth that was the issue, especially with the loss of Omar Norman Lott. And so when I talk about guys losing their spot, I talk about the secondary strings, the second string guys that are, they're rotational pieces. They play a majority of the snaps of the game. You don't really see it, but they play probably about 40%, 35% of the snaps. And you don't really want to have those snaps taken away from you. You want to play the way that you want to play. And they showed that tonight. A couple of guys that you want to talk about in that, it's really the kind of the backup lineman, and Ashton Giolletti, who I really liked what I saw. Charles Omenihu, he got in the backfield once, hit the QB once. I think I want to see a little more from him still. I don't know. Omenihu's just such a weird player because his presence almost oversides his actual stat line in some ways. I don't know if that makes sense, but every time I watch, I just feel like he's in more plays. And not in like the Drew Tranquil way where he's always active. I see him on the field, like, oh yeah, he got to the backfield. And then I watch the game back and I look back at the stats and I look at the PFF grade and I'm like, yeah, I guess he didn't really have that great a game. So he's an interesting spot for me. Ashton Giolletti low. I liked what I saw from him. He only had 1 tackle, didn't really get in the backfield, didn't have a QB hit, but he did the right things. And honestly, what you're looking from Giolletti was not having to go and trade for somebody. That's what it was. You don't want to go after trade for somebody. So I think he did well enough. I really do think he did well enough. Secondary was great. Shamari Connor, I love what he does every single week, and this week was one of his better weeks. Trent McDuffie looked pretty solid out there, especially facing off against a couple top-tier wide receivers in McLaurin and Deebo Samuel. Especially kind of talking about the secondary and the potential to make trades there as well. It's a make or break game for them too. Jalen Watson, who was on the injury report all last week, he came out, he played, he had 4 tackles, 3 solo, also had a tackle for loss. So, you look at those guys and you feel very, very confident. Let's talk about the Isiah Pacheco injury update, because that's obviously what the big news of the day is. And we're going to show you the injury. We're going to show you the tweet and kind of all of it. So let's first start with the video and just kind of watch your eyes for a second. You can see it all over Twitter, but if you watch this play in the slow motion, you can see that knee. It's the worst part of these knee injuries. His foot gets stuck in the ground. And in that, he then gets a shoulder to that knee. And so when the spikes catch on the grass in your knee, it bends inward enough to where it has to basically rip your foot off the ground, like rip it from the grass. And it takes some time. And so now we can see the report here. Tom Pelissero, running back Isiah Pacheco, who left Monday night's win with a knee injury, is considered week to week with an MCL sprain per sources. Now, it depends on MCL sprains. We have our Twitter doctors, our ex-doctors. So I'm not going to take their full word for it. However, I do think it's something we can look at. It's an MCL sprain in his right knee. We know this. However, we don't know the severity of it, and that's why he got the week-to-week thing. He could miss 1 to 4 weeks. If he were to miss 4 weeks, I would assume they would have put him on the IR. So my thought is that it is not a horrible sprain. And I know they're grading here grade 1 tear, 2 tear, and 3 tear. He didn't tear it, but you can also kind of look at this from another perspective and talk about the grades of sprains. And there's definitely like different grades of sprains. So that's something that can really change this. And if you watch videos, if you look at other MCL sprains, personally, I think it's gonna be a 2-week absence for Isiah Pacheco. Because if it was gonna be 4, I think we would have known that by now. I think it would have been put out there immediately, hey, it's a pretty substantial injury. And on top of that all, I think with that, you would have seen the Chiefs maybe started to be looking at some running backs right now, which is what I'm going to talk about because 2 weeks is something that it's not light. And if we go back to the stat line here, Brashard Smith only had 3 carries for 8 yards. Last week prior, he had 14 carries for 47 yards. You want to see more of him, but the key word is want there. Because if you think about the way this Chiefs team is set up, if you think about the way the running backs are kind of labeled in this, you just want him to be a secondary option. I want to see more of him, but you almost had a running back by committee with Kareem Hunt, Isiah Pacheco, and Brashard Smith. Rashee Rice obviously having a couple carries, jet sweeps. I now look at this running back room and for how many questions we've asked, for how many times we've talked about if the Chiefs legitimately want a shot at the Super Bowl, they have to get a legitimate running back. And so what does that look like? What does that mean for the rest of the season? How exactly do you come about kind of looking at other running backs? And that's where we kind of have to really assess the Pacheco injury, to be honest with you. Does this injury warrant going out and getting somebody? Does this injury mean that they need to go getting somebody? We're going to talk about it when we come back. I'm going to leave it on a cliffhanger there. I'll tell you what my thoughts are and everything else. But we're talking Isiah Pacheco and the rest of the season outlook when we come back here on the Rogue Media Sports Network. It's the Chiefs Report. We'll take a break.
Are you ready to take control of your health? At 4U Health, we believe wellness and lab testing should be accessible, inclusive, and yes, fun. With our tech-powered at-home lab test, you save time and money while feeling your best. Say goodbye to long waits and office visits. Check your health on your own terms with 4U Health. Visit 4uhealth.com today and free yourself from traditional medicine. That's the number 4uhealth.com. Get ready for epic savings at Best Buy. Right now, you can save up to $700 on select Alienware and Dell gaming products. Perfect for leveling up your gaming experience. Plus, grab the latest Android Google Pixel at an unbeatable price. Don't miss these incredible deals. Shop now at bestbuy.com and upgrade your tech today. At Fullwell, we bring together the expertise of registered dietitians, MDs, and OBGYNs to give you the best fertility support. Our research-backed bioavailable formulas are crafted with your health in mind, ensuring the highest quality and safety. From preconception to pregnancy and beyond, we exceed industry standards with independent testing for harmful contaminants. With our comprehensive practitioner directory, personalized care is always within reach. Fullwell, your trusted partner on your fertility journey. Visit us at fullwellfertility.com. Experience the perfect blend of exquisite craftsmanship and life-changing technology with Gevi. Every product is built with precision, featuring specialized parts that ensure durability, efficiency, and safety. We put every machine through 6,000 rigorous tests to guarantee long-lasting performance. With cutting-edge technology and a commitment to energy efficiency, Gevi makes your life easier, greener, and more convenient. Upgrade your everyday with Gevi. Visit us at gevi.com to discover more. That's gevi.com.
Have you ever watched true crime television and wondered, how did they get that story?
I can show you. I was a producer for 48 Hours on CBS News.
In my exclusive tell-all book, I'll take you where no audience has ever gone before. Don't miss out. Secure your copy of Killer Story: The Truth Behind True Crime Television today. Available everywhere books are sold.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. We use the finest materials like Italian top-grain leather, known for its durability and luxurious feel, and apply meticulous attention to detail in every piece we create. Our replicas are crafted with the same care and precision as the originals, but at a price that makes them accessible. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
At Covers and All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. Using advanced tech fabrics that are 100% waterproof, UV tear, and abrasion resistant, we ensure lasting durability with hand-sewn double-stitch seams. Our commitment to quality, precision engineering, and customizable options is unmatched. With vertically integrated operations and express shipping, we deliver premier protection at affordable prices. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
We haven't been looking for you. Wake up.
Hellhound Country, available anywhere you get your podcasts. Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
Welcome back here to the Chiefs Report, a part of the Rogue Media Sports Network. Jace Andrews spending time with you here on this Tuesday after the Chiefs get a 28-7 victory. We've talked about Isiah Pacheco. We've talked about the win, but now we need to talk about the repercussions and the outlook for the Chiefs and the rest of the season. And that's kind of where I want to start off this back half of the podcast, is to first take a look at the schedule, because we just mentioned that Isiah Pacheco will most likely be out. In my opinion, again, this is not a fully confirmed report. As of right now, he is week to week. I expect him to be out for the next 2 weeks. The next 2 weeks are pivotal weeks. You have Buffalo this upcoming Sunday in Buffalo. You then get a bye week. So technically, I guess, that's 3 weeks. So the potential for Pacheco to come back and potentially play in week 11 against Denver is there. It's at Denver. You think about this Chiefs team. They've won 3 in a row. However, 2 of those games are to Las Vegas, who is, in my opinion, playing like the worst NFL team right now, and the Washington Commanders, who did not have Jaden Daniels. All this to be said, I believe these next 2 weeks are pivotal. And the fact of the matter is, if we go back over to this Isiah Pacheco injury update, we don't know when Pacheco is going to come back. There could easily be a potential where Pacheco does not come back until that Broncos game or after that Broncos game. Because in theory, for an IR stint, it's 4 weeks. So let's say that the Chiefs come out later today, tomorrow, whatever it is, and say Isiah Pacheco's injury is worse than we thought. He will be getting placed on the injury report. Then we know that if we go back to this 4-week plan here, he will be out for Buffalo. He'll get the bye week, so no game there. He'll be out for Denver, and he'll be out for Indianapolis. His next game, in theory, if he is put on the IR, will be the Thanksgiving game against the Dallas Cowboys. That is a little bit long to be focusing your running back room on Kareem Hunt and Brashard Smith. I love Brashard Smith, and maybe he proves me wrong. They don't trade for running back, whatever. But I think I really do think that we need to look at the NFL trade block. We need to see what the Chiefs could do, what they're looking for, and guys who are available. Now, this is just a top 25 list that ESPN put out, but we can easily go into the third guy here on this ESPN list and see Breece Hall, the running back for the New York Jets. And we've talked about Breece Hall. We've talked about the abilities that he has and the, honestly, jump that he would give to the Kansas City Chiefs. He would cost a lot. He would. However, the New York Jets just got their first win. The New York Jets are in a place where I think they understand that they're going to be rebuilding. And yeah, they could rebuild with Brees Hall and they could add him. And he's had a fantastic season this season. There were reports at the beginning of the year that suggested that Braylon Allen could have just as many snaps as Brees Hall. I didn't believe that, but that was put out there. Brees Hall is a very good option. And they do have Braylon Allen, who people again talked about. When you talk about team fits, you immediately think about the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Texans. The Chargers are the first team when it comes up to running backs. And I think that's the unfortunate part of this situation, especially with the Pacheco injury, is the Chiefs, in theory, never needed a running back. It would just make them, I don't want to say unstoppable, but in a different tier. The Chargers need a running back. Amari and Hampton and Najee Harris are both injured. Now, Hampton will come back, but Vidal Blue for the Los Angeles Chargers is not going to cut it, especially the way they're playing. The Chiefs, on the other hand, are going to now be fighting with the Chargers for every single one of these running backs that even do get called upon. So I pose the thought to you of if the Los Angeles Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs, less than a week from now, because the trade deadline is legitimately a week from now, they both go calling. They both go looking at Brees Hall. What's it going to look like? How is that going to go about? Because the Chargers need a running back. The Chiefs, even though they do have an injury now, they're not going to get that call. Plus, if the Chargers know the Chiefs are calling, that offer might be up because they don't want the Chiefs to get Brees Hall. So it's an interesting situation. I call it a sticky one in a lot of lights because you have a team in your division, a team that is fighting for the division, and a division that you've controlled. And yet the potential is there for you to basically get in a bidding war with them. And so I say this all to keep looking down the line. I'm the top 25 guys in the trade block. And the fact of the matter is, you're seeing it. QBs, safeties. We got to get till number 23 to have our second running back. And it's Jerome Ford of the Cleveland Browns. But the funny part about this, and I know this was released this morning, so this top 25 trade list, it doesn't affect the injury that was obviously revealed this morning. And it probably was written about, 3 days ago at this point. The Chargers are listed as a potential fit for the running back from the Cleveland Browns, Jerome Ford. But the Patriots and the Texans, they owe to. Not the Chiefs. Jerome Ford is a Band-Aid, I think, in a lot of ways. For this problem, if you get him now, you're going to use him in a lot of situations from, say, the Buffalo game through whenever Isiah Pacheco does come back. If, however, you don't get him, though, the options become Brashard Smith, Kareem Hunt, and, guys, practice squad guys, but I don't know how much you want to rely on that. In the other light, though, like I said, if you get Jerome Ford, you go down, and when Pacheco returns, you have 4 running backs. You want to get Brashard Smith more snaps was the statement that Andy Reid made. I mean, I say that, but when you look at Brashard Smith this week, it wasn't much. I mean, what? He had officially 3 rushes, so 3 touches there. And then you talk about receiving, they didn't have a target. Not a single target. Andy Reid can say, we want to use him. We want to use him right. But I haven't seen actions. I haven't seen the cookie on the plate. The plate's empty, and they're promising cookies, but they haven't put one out there yet. And so, do we trust that Andy Reid, and Santa being him, is going to put that cookie on the plate, or are we just going to watch Brashard Smith sit on the bench? Now, I think the latter will happen. In saying this, the first part, that Brashard will get more snaps, especially because of the situation. But that is prevalent upon the fact that the Chiefs do not go out there and trade for running back. Now, it isn't great that Brashard did fumble the ball. He got it back, but he did fumble the ball. I don't know. I look at this team and I see a lot of positives, but I also look at this team and think, man, there's some things that they could do to make them look like the Chiefs. And what I mean by that is, over the past, if you've been watching Chiefs football for 4 years, 5 years, you know that about since 2020, they've always, even further back, if you want to really do that, if you've been watching that long, they've always had this like almost presence to them that they're going to be there when the final lights are on in the season. They're going to be there when the AFC Championship lights are shining down at Arrowhead Stadium or any other stadium across the National Football League. And odds are they're going to win. I look at this team this year, and they don't have that same presence. And I have seen it grow from that, I will say, over the past 2 weeks. It's definitely coming back. I've definitely seen it more. But is it something that we can trust that it will continue? You face a very good Buffalo team. You will be out without Isiah Pacheco. But do you have another running back at that point? Or are you going to go into Buffalo, a team that just absolutely put their foot on the neck of the Carolina Panthers? And I understand it was Andy Dalton, but they did what they needed to do. And then you go out and you look at this upcoming game and you think, okay, if we go out there, this offense looks good, you're fine, right? But the other like kind of double entendre situation is if you go out there and you look bad, you got to establish some facts quickly, because the bad thing about not playing reputable teams for the past 2 weeks is that you haven't gotten to see the issues. And I say that this week, the defensive line, I think, is fine. I think you have to see that that's fine. It stinks now the injuries come out, because I think the issues are like, okay, can you trust Rashard Smith? I really don't know what the plan is. And the good and bad part about the Chiefs is they're so like well kept in the organization and the franchise that for all these reports and these leaks that are coming out and saying, well, this team's looking for this or that team's looking for that, or this is this on the trade deadline. The Chiefs, first of all, just haven't been involved on the trade deadline because they haven't needed to be. But they also just don't get mentioned because, well, they're not really a team that lets the outside and the inside information get out. They are very well kept. I think in a lot of ways, the Chiefs are one of the most underranked organizations in football, strictly put, that they consistently are very well run. And yes, I know the whole facility issues is there, but they're a very well run organization. Brett Veach has done a great job. Obviously, the Hunts have done fantastic things. I just need to look at this and look from a perspective of, do they need to go out and trade somebody? And we're not going to really know. Like for the Chiefs, I would not be shocked if, here's a trade. Like a trade happens tomorrow, we get Breece Hall and nothing came out about it. Because that's how like tight the organization is. And it's how tight most of the NFL organizations are trying to get, but we know these insiders, they have their ways. They're able to get these inside scoops. And, we can look now and see that some of them are right, some are wrong. But I like the Chiefs' odds if they can go out and get a running back. I think that's the point here, is that even before Isiah Pacheco got injured, we're not talking about running backs. Even before Isiah Pacheco, potentially, forget if he's out for 1 to 2 weeks, that's a tough injury. And it's going to be something that, I'm not going to say it's the affect away the run that he runs for the rest of his career, but for the week or so after, I don't know that he's going to be to full capacity. Even if he does spend like 4 weeks injured. Like, I don't know if that week he'll come back, whenever that might be, he'll be fully ready. And so when you're kind of into a pivotal part of the season, I say, you need to be put in the best place. And so for the Chiefs, and you go back and you think about, okay, what do they need to do down the stretch? Well, they need to, first of all, play well against their divisional opponents. That's really kind of what it is. They're right now second in the AFC West. And if we look across football in general and the standings and the playoff picture and all that, we can see them in a very good sense. So right now, as we look at the division, we can see the Chiefs are tied with the Chargers for second, the Broncos 6-2, and they look really good, winning 5 in a row. But the playoff picture is what's more important. And so right now we can see that the Chiefs are the 7th seed. And while the Chiefs would be the scariest 7th seed known to man, you want to be up here. You want to be past up here. And that's where Denver is. You can be up past Pittsburgh, but it's wanting to get to that higher point. And so you need to, in my opinion, make your team better. Because those problems that arise in the early part of the season, yes, your team gets better, but so does every team. And they're going to go look at that game plan that other teams had and say, yeah, it's a good one. we'll wait. We'll see. The hope is that I believe the Chiefs will trade for a running back, whether it be a Band-Aid of Jerome Ford or a complete overhauling and getting Breece Hall. I think it's time to make the big move. And if you get Breece Hall, there's not a team in the NFL that wants to play you. That's legit the one thing you're missing in this team. You have Patrick Mahomes, Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, a defense that has looked solid over the past 2 weeks. I understand they're not the same teams that we're going to see in the playoffs, but they look solid. Maybe they can go out there and get a running back, and then you come back and you look at the team and be like, man, it's just every year they do it. And that's what I want to say. I want my friends who consistently tell me, how do you get to the root for the Chiefs? How do they always do it? And I look and I say Brett Veach, and this is a time where he can finally make a move that everybody will see. But will he make the move? We'll talk about it tomorrow. We've got a bunch to kind of go down and obviously have our first injury report for Buffalo, have a bunch of different things to talk about for tomorrow's show. But that's what we got here for today. Trade deadline, again, a week away. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Make sure you stay tuned and up to date. Hope you have a great rest of your day here on Tuesday, and we'll see you next time on the Chiefs Report by the Rogue Media Network. Peace out, guys.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.